As we approach the halfway point of this NBA season, I thought it would be a cracking idea to tier list every single team based on how well they've done this season. We've got 6 fabulous tiers that we're going to put every team in, so let's get right into it. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We have every single team right here. We're going to tier list them today. We've got all 30 NBA teams. We've got 6 fabulous tiers. We've got contender, which means I think they can win the title. We've got a piece away, which means that I think they're, trade deadline's coming up. They're one piece away from maybe being able to contend. That could be a player come back from injury, or like say, they could trade for a player. We've got first round exit. I think they'll make the playoffs. Don't think they'll make much noise in the playoffs. We've got the play-in with the Heat and Bulls, which will probably feature the Heat and Bulls. It's just play-in teams. Bad, but quite fun. So teams that are dog shit, but they're at least fun viewing. And then we've got teams that are absolute dog shit and not fun at all to watch. Let's get into it. Starting with the Atlanta Hawks. So they recently traded Trae Young. They got CJ McCollum. They got Corey Kispert. Retools their squad a wee bit. They're, I think, a first round exit. And that's where I'm going to put them. I think they're first round exit, but they're a good first round exit. They'll push whoever they have. They'll push them maybe 5-6 games, but they'll fall eventually. If they got Anthony Davis and they got a healthy Anthony Davis, they would be interesting in trying to get out of the East. But I don't think Davis is going to be traded. And even if he did get traded, I don't think he's going to be healthy. And for those reasons, I think the Atlanta Hawks are first round exit. But I am quite interested to see how Jalen Johnson would do in a playoff setting. That being said, I don't think they'll be very, very good. Boston Celtics, on the other hand, they're a piece away. And I think that piece is Jason Tatum. They're looking really good. Jaylen Brown and Derek White are having career years. And if you bring Jason Tatum, obviously this piece is determined by how good Jason Tatum is. If he is pre-Achilles tear Jason Tatum, then you're a contender, I think. But if this is a Jason Tatum who, he's lost a step, his first sprint off isn't as good as it used to be, I still think you're a contender, especially if you get a center in the trade market. You look at like Daniel Gafford, maybe like Day'Ron Sharpe from the Brooklyn Nets. I think you've got a chance of making the finals at the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets are weird because on paper, they're not a very fun watch. Like, their rookies haven't been that good. I like Diego Demon, but apart from that, they've not been great. Danny Wolf's been interesting, at least, but their record's terrible. They're not they're not making the play-in. They're not a first round exit. They're not a piece away. And for the rest of the season, they could be quite bad. But they are out of the number 2. They were at least at one point the number 2 defense in the NBA. They're the number 1 defense for the month of December. And Jordi Fernandez has these guys playing hard basketball. And Michael Porter Jr. is quite fun to watch when he's not on a podcast. When he's on the basketball court, he is an enjoyable watch. But I do think they're kind of dog shit. I'll be very honest. Maybe that's a bit mean. Dog shit's a bit mean. We're going to change it to terrible. If I can spell. Which I can't, apparently. That's how you spell terrible. We'll go terrible. Because dog shit feels a bit mean. Because this Nets team is not an enjoyable watch. But they're not like, the bottom of the bottom terrible. They're just, dog shit. They're just a bit terrible. And their rookies haven't been great. But the Hornets are quite fun. They're quite fun. Mainly because Conker Nipple's very fun to watch. Because he's having an amazing rookie season. If Cooper Flag did not exist, he'd be a unanimous Rookie of the Year. Because his shooting numbers are insane for this season, especially for a rookie. I think he'll break the record for most 3-pointers in a single season, which I think is Keegan Murray's record currently. But I think he'll break it. Moussa Diabate's fun to watch. I mean, LaMelo Ball's always fun to watch when he's not injured. And Brandon Miller has been really enjoyable when if he's not injured. The problem is this team is injured. When they're injured, they're not a fun watch. But if they're all fully healthy, I mean, you saw it against the Jazz. They blew the Jazz out by 50. They beat the Thunder convincingly in their home court. Now, this is a good team when it's healthy. The problem is it's never healthy. But I think you tank for this year, which I think they will do. I don't think they'll try push into the play-in, even though they're only 6 games back. But you bring in another high draft pick, and this team is a serious contender to take that Detroit Pistons leap that Detroit took last year. And then we go to the Bulls. And enough needs to be said about Chicago, because they're the 10th seed currently, and they're really boring to watch. But they're in the play-in, and this tier is named after them for a very specific reason. Cleveland, they're probably a first-round exit this. No, they're a piece away. I'm not, my Cleveland stock is not fully gone. I have a belief that if Cleveland got off DeAndre Hunter and they maybe rerouted Jarrett Allen, they brought some other players in with a Jarrett Allen trade, because they're on the second apron right now. Bring some other players in. This team could be interesting, but they're so inconsistent this year. They're 22-19 in one game. They're playing incredibly well against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The next game, they're losing to the Jazz, who just lost to the Hornets by 50. They don't make any sense as a basketball team. But I do think if they can pull it all together, they're a piece away from making the finals, like a lot of Eastern Conference teams here. But whether they will or not is another matter. But for now, they're a piece away, because even though they're the 7th seed currently, they're only 2 games back from the Raptors. No, sorry, from the 76ers and the 5th seed. So they'll make the playoffs. I don't think they'll be in the play-in, but whether they'll be any good is another matter. But I think they're a piece away. The Dallas Mavericks are bad, but quite fun. This will probably go down to terrible. They're the team I watch the most. And when Anthony Davis is healthy, which he's not, ever, they're quite a fun watch. Cooper Flagg is the only reason to watch this team now, because he is an unbelievably fun watch. And no one else on this team is very good. Well, that's a lie. Najee Marshall's a good watch. PJ Washington, when he's healthy, is pretty fun to watch. Max Christie, you look at and you go, he could be a very good player in the future. But apart from that, I mean, yesterday they had 3 two-way guys starting for them. That's how injured they are. And they will plummet down the standings. I know they're the 13th seed already currently. The 12th seed, I'm lying, I'm sorry. They're the 12th seed currently. They'll fall. They'll keep falling because it's not a good team when Kyrie's out, Anthony Davis is out, Daniel Gafford's out, Derek Lively is out for the year, PJ Washington's out currently, Brandon Williams is out with an illness currently. Their injury list is so long, and I don't think they'll be healthy anytime soon. But for now, they're still quite fun, and that's mainly because of Cooper Flagg. The Denver Nuggets are legitimate, when I can put it in, a legitimate contender, because even though they're 26-13, they're only 6.5 games back from the Thunder. They're without Jokic, and they're still winning games. And Jamal Murray's taken that leap in the regular season. He's been really good, especially from an assist standpoint. Peyton Watson's been incredible. He won Player of the Week, though, just gone. He averaged, I think, 24 points. And as a rotation piece, that's exactly what you need. Christian Brown's been fine. Aaron Gordon's been good since he came back. This team is a proper team, and especially with Nikola Jokic, they are going to be scary for anyone coming up in the playoffs. And I think if they face like San Antonio in the conference finals, I'd back the Denver Nuggets to make the finals. And then against an Eastern Conference team, you would be the favorite. And I think the Nuggets can do that. 100% I think they're a contender. Detroit, are they? Well, they're the top team in the East. Do I think they're a contender? I think at this point I have to. If you're 28-10, what's the rule? 40-20. You can't go 40-20. I don't see the Pistons going 12-10 for the next couple of games. So I think they're a legitimate contender. Whether they're a real playoff team is a different matter. I mean, they lost in 6 to the Knicks last year, but that was a great series. But Detroit can definitely do something, I think, in the playoffs. I think, especially if the teams in the East don't upgrade, like Lauri Markkanen doesn't come in, Jammerman doesn't go to the East, and Anthony Davis doesn't look like he's going to the East, or anywhere for that matter. Yeah, I think Detroit are a contender. And the Golden State Warriors are a playing team. Well, they may be no, they're not a piece away. I still think they're not very good. They're old, and I think that will catch up to them in the playoffs. like Jimmy and Steph. Steph will Steph in the playoffs. He'll be incredible in the playoffs. But the rest of that team, I don't trust. Like Pajemski and Quinton Post. Even though Quinton Post have been good, I don't trust him in a playoff setting. I think they're two-dimensional of a player to really trust in a playoff setting. But if they get Michael Porter Jr., then straight away they're they're a contender. But which I guess technically means they're a piece away. We'll put them in a piece away. It's too high for the minute, and it's relying on Michael Porter Jr. being in. But I think with Michael Porter Jr., there are teams that are far worse than them that have made the finals. And I think Michael Porter Jr., Jimmy Butler, Steph, Draymond Green is a pretty solid 4 out of 5 that you need to make the finals. No, we'll put them there. The Houston Rockets, I think, are a piece away. Again, no, I do think they're a piece away. They've been floundering recently, though. They're really not in good form recently. They lost to the Kings, they lost to the Trailblazers twice, they lost to the Mavericks. Who the hell's losing to the Mavericks nowadays? But I still think they're quite good. KD and Şengün and Alfred and Amen Thompson, they're all good on paper. But basketball's not played on paper, it's played on court. And they are struggling without a point guard. Now, that being said, they get a point guard at the trade deadline, I think they're a contender. And that's what the piece away criteria is about. The Pacers are terrible. Enough said. There's a reason they're the worst record in the entire NBA. Is that even true? Yes, it is. You've got the joint worst record in the NBA with the Pelicans. Not fun to watch. Clearly tanking. Less said about them, the better. The Clippers are a first round exit. I could have put them in a piece away. They've been a lot better recently, and I think they will make the playoffs. But they are at most a first round exit. Even though Kawhi's playing out of his mind recently, I don't know what they've done to him. He's playing unbelievably. They're still not good enough. They're still too old. The team just, I don't know. It's not a team that screams even a piece away. I think they'll battle in the first round, 6 games, like I said, with the Hawks. But I think they'll go down the 6 games in the first round, probably to like a Nuggets or a Rock. No, probably not a Rockets. Probably like a Nuggets or a Spurs or an OKC Thunder. Because if they get a 6 seed, they'll play one of them. I think that's what's going to happen. The Lakers, they're not even a piece away. They're a first round exit. In fact, they're not even a first round exit. They're playing team. They're just. I know they're the 5th seed right now, but Suns have more games won than them, and even though they've played 2 games more, but they're the fakest 5th seed I've ever seen in my life. It is Luka Doncic, it's Austin Reeves when he's healthy, and it's LeBron when he's healthy, and it is no one else. The depth on that team is shocking. And Nico Harrison said defense wins championships, depth wins championships. And the Lakers have no depth. They made the play-in, and they're probably losing the play-in. I think even the Blazers would beat him in a play-in game. I don't trust that Lakers team at all. It is Luka Doncic and no one else. And there's a reason they've lost 3 on the bounce currently. The Memphis Grizzlies are a playing team, mainly because every other team below them is pretty doggy doo-doo. I think they're currently a playing team. It stands to reason to not think they're a playing team if Ja Morant's not on this team, if Triple J's not on this team come the trade deadline. But if they're on the team, they'll be a playing team, pretty simply. But apart from that, they're bad, but quite fun. But for now, playing team. That's why it's a mid-season one. We'll do one at the end of the season. The Heat are a playing team because it's in the name. Playing team with the Heat and Bulls. They're the 8th seed. I'll stay the 8th seed. Their offensive scheme was quite fun at the start of the season when it was just, let's just throw the rock around and see what happens. Let's just run the floor a lot and see what happens. The teams have figured it out. They've lost 3 on the bounce. They're 5-5 in the last 10 games. They're exactly a 42-win team, pretty much in my mind. And I think that's where they'll finish the season being. And that's okay. I mean, as a Heat fan, I'd rather see like Kel'el Ware play and not have some older players taking a spot. Norman Powell's been good. Bam Adebayo has been hit or miss recently, but I don't know. It's a team that doesn't fill me with confidence for the future. I'll tell you that. It all depends on whether they can get a big trade or a big transfer in free agency, and I don't see it happening. So for now, I think they're stuck in mediocrity in the playing game, and I don't even think if they got a big piece, they'd be a playing. I mean, if they got Giannis, they would be, but without that, no, I don't think they are. They're anything but a playing team at the minute. Next, we've got the Milwaukee Bucks, and they are bad, but yeah, they're bad but quite fun. That's because Giannis is playing. Ryan Rollins is a fun watch, and that's it. It's not an awful lot going for this team because it's old and bad. When teams are old and bad, there's not an awful lot that you can do to make your team quite fun. But Ryan Rollins is doing his best. The Minnesota Timberwolves are an interesting team because they're currently 4th. But I don't think they're a contender. I think they're a piece away. And the reason I think they're a piece away is if you somehow get James Harden, which you won't, but if you get a proper point guard like a James Harden, you are a massive favourite for the title. Without that, you would be an interesting defense. I think Rudy Gobert, if Victor Wembanyama doesn't come back, is depoy. You're a good defense, but bar that, Pelicans are terrible. They don't even own their pick. There is nothing fun at all about that Pelicans team. The Knicks are probably a contender. I don't even think they're a piece away. I think they are just a full-blown contender. You know, they're a fun team to watch. They've got a good defense. They've got a good offense. And more importantly, they've got a really good bench now. And Yabusele's not playing, which is what it is, but Jordan Clarkson's a good player to have off the bench, even though in a playoff situation he worries me on if he could go hot or cold. And Tyler Kolek's been fun this year. And Miles McBride's a good player to have on the bench. Mitchell Robinson in a playoff situation when he's not missing free throws is a great player to have off your bench. Like, it's a stronger bench than they had last year, and they made the conference finals. So I think for all the world they're a contender. They're second in the East currently, and they're a really good team. And next we have the OKC Thunder, obviously a contender. They've been flaunting a wee bit recently. And even that floundering has been not anything to worry about. Jalen Williams came back and they lost a few games. It's not that deep. They'll be there or thereabouts this season. Whether they win the title, I don't know. They're still probably my pick for the title, but they're 100% a contender. The Magic are first round exit. And that's only because of the fact that Banchero's not been great this season. Desmond Bane's been good. Banchero's not been good. Franz Wagner cannot take a game over in the fourth quarter. It is the most frustrating thing to watch on the planet. Because he is so good, and then he just can't take a game over. And it is a frustrating watch. But they're the 6th seed. They'll probably finish with about 45 to 47 wins. They're solid, but they'll go out in the first round. That's my prediction. 76ers are also probably a first round exit. I don't see them making big noise come playoff time, but it all depends on Joel Embiid's health, how Paul George plays in the playoffs. BJ Edgecombe is a really interesting playoff player because we haven't seen him in the playoffs, and I'd be really intrigued to see if he's a riser or a faller, especially in a rookie year. Probably a faller, I'd imagine, but we don't know. But the 76ers really interest me. But I think they're just a first round exit now, and not an awful lot less. Because I don't know what piece you'd even bring in to make them better. Because they're sort of at like their ceiling, if that makes sense, especially with the cap they have, and no one's taken Paul George's contract. So they interest me, but not enough for me to go, they're a piece away or they're a contender. Some of the Phoenix Suns, they're probably my favourite team to watch at the minute. Just the fact it's sort of a ragtag gang, especially compared to the Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant teams. It's just Devin Booker. I say just Devin Booker. Devin Booker's incredible, but it's Devin Booker, it's Dylan Brooks, it's Mark Williams, and it's Colin Gillespie, Grayson Allen. It's just a team that can shoot the ever-living shit out of the ball. Bar Mark Williams, obviously. But it's a team that can shoot the ever-living shit out of the ball. And they're a really fun team to watch because they are dogged on defense. They try to get all the rebounds they can. They hustle. They're a really fun team to watch, but it come playoff time when everyone else raises that level, I don't know how far else the Suns can raise beyond what they're playing at the minute. But still, if you're the Suns fan, you were expecting a terrible season, and to be the 6th seed currently, I think you take that in a heartbeat. And talking to teams that maybe should be doing better than my expectations were, it's the Blazers. They're still a play-in team. I thought they'd be around, not the Heat. The Heat, you are firmly a playoff team, my friend. I think they should be around here. Like, if I was predicting before the season, but they're around here. Danny Advia has been really good. He is an egregious free throw man, and I don't know how that would hold up in the playoffs. His free throw numbers are ridiculous, but that is a skill in of itself. I'm not going to slate people that draw fouls, because I think that's a stupid thing to do, because there's ways to do it, and I think it's a skill. If you look at Shea, I think the way he gets free throws, as much as people don't like it, is a skill. I think Danny Advia's got that superstar being able to draw fouls skill. I just don't know if it would work in a playoff situation. And the rest of the team around him, they don't have a point guard. Danny Advia's playing point guard. So for now, they're a playing team. And at that, I don't think they even make it out of the playing team bracket, or out the play-in game for that matter. The Sacramento Kings are a terrible watch because they don't win any games. It's Zach LaVine throwing up 20 shots a game. It's Domantas Sabonis if he plays. It's Russell Westbrook, who's probably been the best player to watch on that Sacramento Kings team. And that tells you all you need to know, because it's 37-year-old Russell Westbrook who is making that team fun to watch. And even then, it's not fun to watch. We have one more contender, ladies and gentlemen, and it's obviously San Antonio Spurs. I thought they'd be good. I said at the start of the season, obviously I didn't record it, so you're going to have to take my word on it. If you want to take my word on it, you can. If you don't, it's the internet. People lie all the time. I said they'd be about the 4th or 5th seed. I thought they'd take that playoff leap. Wemby would definitely play postseason ball in year 3, but I did not expect them to be a full-blown contender like they are now. And it's especially impressive with Wemby coming off the bench, because this team is really deep. Dylan Harper's hit a wee bit of a rookie wall, and De'Aaron Fox and Stephen Castle have been pretty poor recently, but even if they figure it out, they are going to be so dangerous in the playoffs. And what especially interests me is the way they're 3-0 against the OKC Thunder. If that is something you can try to replicate in a playoff situation, you got a good chance, because that has a mental advantage over them. If you know that you're 3-0 over someone, that opposition's is scared to face you. Trust me. So they will be a team that the Thunder especially do not want to face in the playoffs. And they are the final contender in the contender category. The Toronto Raptors are really interesting, because I think they're a piece away. And it would have been an Anthony Davis piece. You obviously can't. Well, it'd be interesting if they do trade for him. I don't think they will. But they're maybe not a piece away now. No, they are a piece away, but I don't think they'll get the piece, is what I'm trying to say. Before I stop speaking English well. But they're a really good team to watch. Jonathan Mobo's really fun to watch. Grady Dick's not been great, but Brandon Ingram's been great. Scotty Barnes has been amazing. He's an All-NBA player this year. Colin Murray-Boyles has been a great rookie. And yeah, I think they're a piece away. And that piece would have been Anthony Davis. But that piece, Anthony Davis is injured now, and it messes up the Raptors pretty terribly, because it would have been the Raptors, it would have been the Hawks that I think would have traded for Anthony Davis. Now, they'll make the playoff game. Easily they'll make the playoff game, but I think they're probably going to be a second round exit at best, because it depends who they get in the first round. But I think they'll be a second round exit. But with Anthony Davis playing for them, I think they could have made it out of the East. The Jazz are bad, but quite fun. You know, Keontae George has been a really fun watch. Larry Markkinen's been pretty good. They're almost too good for where they want to be, because they want to be tanking, and they're just below the Mavs, who've been actively trying to win games. Like, they're 14-25, but that's not terrible at all for a team trying to tank. It's bad. Don't get me wrong, it's bad, but I think Keontae George is better than they expected them to be. Ace Bailey's interesting, like, when you watch him play. I mean, Kevin Love and Yusuf Nurkic just somehow rolling back the years, especially after Walker Kessler's injury. And let's say Larry Markkinen's good. Bryce Sensabaugh could have been better than I expected. He's not even great. They did get blown out by 50 recently, but they also beat the Cavs recently, so they're a bit of a weird team. They're being coached really well. Less said about Cody Williams, the better. But they're an interesting team. They're playing better than the team on paper suggests. And Keontae George, for All-Star appearance, please. I need Keontae George in the All-Star game. He's my most improved player, by far. He's great. And the Washington Wizards are pretty terrible. No, they're pretty terrible. They're not even that fun to watch. Alex R's okay. Bar that. They'll be interesting with Trae Young, though. I think Trae Young in this team, they could be a playing team this year. I'll tell you this now. And this is a wee side tangent, but this whole video has been a side tangent, so do that what you will. They're Darren Peterson or AJ Demancier away from being a first-round exit and being a playoff team next year. They're that close to taking that leap. I think they're a lot closer than people think they are. And obviously that does rely on lottery luck. Whether you get that lottery luck or not is a different matter, but I think they are a really interesting team, the Washington Wizards. And I'm really excited to see what they do this season, in the draft, and next season.